There is one fight you cannot escape. You may avoid difficult conversations. You may leave uncomfortable places. You may distance yourself from people who challenge you. You may change your job, your city, your relationships, your habits, and even your appearance. But wherever you go, one opponent will always follow you. That opponent lives within you. It knows your fears because it created many of them. It knows your weaknesses because it has watched you repeat them. It knows exactly what to say when you are tired, uncertain, rejected, or alone. It speaks with your voice. It uses your memories. It reminds you of your failures. It promises comfort, but slowly steals your future. This is the fight between who you are now and who you are capable of becoming. You versus you. Most people spend their lives fighting the wrong enemy. They blame their circumstances, their family, their past, their competitors, their lack of money, their lack of opportunities, or the unfairness of the world. Sometimes these obstacles are real. Sometimes the road truly is difficult. But an external obstacle only becomes your permanent prison when the weakness within you agrees to surrender. The world may close one door, but the defeated mind closes every door. Defeated mind closes every door. The world may delay you, but the undisciplined mind convinces you to stop. The world may criticize you, but the insecure mind repeats that criticism until it becomes an identity. Your greatest enemy is not the person standing in your way. It is the voice inside you that says, "This is enough. You cannot change. You have already tried. You are too late. You are too tired. You are not ready." The fight begins when you stop obeying that voice. You do not win this battle through anger. You do not win it by shouting motivational words while continuing the same habits. You do not win it through one powerful morning followed by 6 careless days. You win through awareness. You win through discipline. You win by making small promises to yourself and keeping them, especially when no one is watching. Every morning, 2 versions of you wake up. One version seeks comfort. It wants to remain in bed. It wants to delay the difficult task. It wants quick pleasure, easy approval, and immediate results. It wants to avoid discomfort, responsibility, uncertainty, and discipline. The other version seeks growth. It knows that the body may be tired, but the purpose remains. It understands that difficult actions create an easier future, while easy actions create a difficult future. It does not ask, "What do I feel like? Do I feel like doing?" It asks, "What must be done?" The version you feed becomes stronger. Every decision is a vote. When you delay what matters, you vote for weakness. When you keep your word, you vote for strength. When you make excuses, you vote for the person you no longer wish to be. When you act despite fear, you vote for the person you are becoming. Your life does not change through one enormous decision. It changes through thousands of small decisions that appear insignificant at the moment. A single drop of water seems powerless, but when it falls in the same place every day, even stone must eventually change. Discipline works in the same way. One disciplined action may not transform your life today. One workout may not transform your body. 1 hour of study may not transform your intelligence. One honest conversation may not repair a relationship. One day of controlling your thoughts may not bring complete peace. But repetition creates identity. You become what you repeatedly practice. If you repeatedly practice avoidance, you become someone who escapes. If you repeatedly practice excuses, you become someone who cannot trust himself. If you repeatedly practice courage, you become someone who moves forward despite uncertainty. If you repeatedly practice discipline, you become someone whose actions are stronger than his emotions. Many people are waiting to feel ready, but readiness is often a disguise worn by fear. They tell themselves, "I will begin when I am confident. I will act when I know the outcome. I will change when life becomes less busy. I will become disciplined when I have more energy." But confidence does not come before the action. Confidence is built by surviving the action. Clarity does not always come before the path. Sometimes clarity appears only after you begin walking. Strength does not arrive before the resistance. Strength is created by meeting the resistance again and again. The person who waits for perfect conditions becomes a servant of conditions. The person who acts under imperfect conditions becomes the master of his direction. Understand this clearly. Discomfort is not always a warning. Sometimes when your muscles burn during training, the body is being challenged to adapt. When your mind becomes restless during silence, hidden thoughts are rising to the surface. When you feel resistance before meaningful work, You are standing at the boundary between your current identity and your next level. Do not run from every uncomfortable feeling. Observe it. Ask yourself, is this pain harming me or is it shaping me? Is this fear protecting me from danger or protecting my weakness from change? Fear is not always your enemy. Fear is information. It shows you where attachment exists. It reveals what you are afraid to lose, what you are afraid to face, and where you still depend on certainty. The goal is not to eliminate fear. The goal is to stop giving fear authority over your actions. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision that something else is more important. A warrior may feel fear, but does not kneel before it. A disciplined person may feel tired, but does not allow tiredness to make every decision. A focused person may experience distraction, but returns attention to the chosen path. Mastery is not the permanent absence of weakness. Mastery is the ability to notice weakness without becoming its servant. This is why awareness must come before control. You cannot defeat an enemy you refuse to see. When you become angry, watch the anger before you speak. When you become jealous, watch the comparison before it poisons your gratitude. When you feel lazy, observe the story you are telling yourself. When you are about to quit, listen carefully to the reasons your mind produces. Do not immediately believe every thought simply because it appears inside your head. A thought is not a command. An emotion is not a prophecy. An impulse is not your identity. You are the one observing them. Between the impulse and the action, there is a space. Inside that space is your freedom. Inside that space is the power to choose differently. At first, the space may feel very small. You feel anger, and immediately you react. You feel fear, and immediately you're tricked. You feel boredom, and immediately you reach for distraction. You feel discomfort, and immediately you search for escape. But through practice, the space becomes wider. You learn to pause, you breathe, you observe, you choose. That pause is where the weaker self loses power. Many people think they need more time. In reality, they often need more attention. They have 24 hours, but their energy is scattered across comparison, entertainment, regret, arguments, notifications, imagined problems, and goals that do not belong to them. A scattered mind can spend an entire day moving without making progress. A focused mind can change its direction in 1 hour. Ask yourself where your attention goes when no one controls it. Your attention reveals your training. Whatever repeatedly captures your attention is shaping your inner world. If you constantly consume noise, silence will become uncomfortable. If you constantly seek stimulation, ordinary effort will feel unbearable. If you constantly compare your life with the edited lives of others, your own path will seem insufficient. Guard your attention as carefully as a warrior guards the entrance to a sacred place. Not everything deserves access to your mind. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. Not every opportunity deserves pursuit. To say yes to your purpose, you must learn to say no to many distractions. This is not isolation. It is alignment. A bow cannot send an arrow forward unless the string is pulled backward. A person cannot move toward a meaningful life without withdrawing energy from what weakens him. You may need to withdraw from meaningless arguments. You may need to withdraw from habits that consume your time. You may need to withdraw from people who respect your comfort, but sabotage your growth. You may need to withdraw from the need to explain every decision. Not everyone will understand your discipline. Some people knew you only as the version who is easy to influence. When you begin setting boundaries, they may call you selfish. When you become focused, they may say you have changed. When you stop participating in your own destruction, those who benefited from your weakness may feel uncomfortable. Let them misunderstand. A tree does not stop growing because the grass complains about its height. But be careful. Discipline without humility becomes ego. Strength without compassion becomes cruelty. Focus without awareness becomes obsession. The true battle is not about proving that you are better than others. It is about becoming more responsible for yourself. You do not need to defeat the people around you. You need to defeat your dependence on their approval. You do not need to appear powerful. You need to become stable. You do not need to control every situation. You need to control your response. You do not need to win every argument. You need to stop losing your peace. The strongest person in the room is not always the loudest. Often, it is the person who has nothing to prove. The person who can remain calm while being provoked. The person who can listen without becoming defensive. The person who can walk away from a meaningless battle because purpose matters more than pride. Anyone can appear disciplined when life is easy. The real test comes when the plan fails, when progress is slow, when no one encourages you, when your work is ignored, when your body is tired, when the results do not match the effort, when you begin questioning whether the sacrifice is worth it. In these moments, your old self will return. It will say, "Nothing is changing. Stop wasting your time. Go back to what is comfortable." Do not fight this voice with emotion. Fight it with evidence. Show it the days you continued. Show it the promises you kept. Show it the moments you chose patience over reaction. Show it the mornings you worked without applause. Each act of consistency becomes proof that you are no longer controlled by the person you used to be. Progress is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. The seed appears inactive beneath the soil, but roots are forming. Water reaches its boiling point 1 degree at a time, but the final degree creates the visible transformation. A person may train for months without recognition. Then suddenly others call him talented. They did not see the private repetitions. They saw only the public result. Do not become discouraged because your growth is not yet visible. Some of the most important changes happen where no one can see them. Your standards are changing. Your patience is increasing. Your reactions are becoming slower and wiser. Your mind is learning to remain present. Your identity is separating from your past. This internal transformation must happen before the external life can remain transformed. Otherwise, you may achieve success, but lack the character to hold it. You may gain money, but remain controlled by insecurity. You may gain influence, but become addicted to attention. You may gain strength, but use it to dominate rather than protect. The outer victory without the inner victory is unstable. This is why you must ask not only, "What do I want to achieve?" but also, "Who must I become to carry that achievement with wisdom?" Perhaps you want freedom. Then you must become responsible enough to use freedom well. Perhaps you want respect. Then you must become someone whose actions deserve respect. Perhaps you want peace. Then you must stop feeding the conflicts within your own mind. Perhaps you want success. Then you must become capable of doing the work when success is still invisible. Your goal is not separate from your character. Every goal demands a certain person. The mountain does not lower itself for the climber. The climber must develop the strength required to rise. Do not curse the mountain. Train your legs. Do not curse the distance. Strengthen your endurance. Do not curse the weight. Strengthen your back. Do not curse the challenge. Strengthen the person facing it. When you stop demanding that life become easier and begin demanding that you become stronger, your entire perspective changes. You stop seeing obstacles as personal attacks. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" You begin asking, "What is this asking me to develop?" Patience, courage, boundaries, humility, consistency, self-respect. The same fire that destroys dry leaves strengthens steel. The difference is not the fire. The difference is the material entering it. You are responsible for the material you become. There will be days when you fail. You will break your routine. You will speak without awareness. You will choose comfort. You will waste time. You will return to an old pattern you believed you had already defeated. Do not turn one failure into an identity. Falling is an event. Remaining down is a decision. The mind often uses perfectionism as another method of escape. It says, "You have already ruined the day. Start again tomorrow." You missed one workout, so the routine is broken. You made one mistake, so all progress is lost. This is not discipline. This is pride disguised as discipline. A disciplined person does not demand perfection. A disciplined person returns quickly. Return to the breath. Return to the task. Return to the path. Return without drama. A river does not stop flowing because a stone disturbs its surface. It moves around the stone and continues toward the ocean. Your ability to return is more important than your ability to remain perfect. Every return weakens the old identity. Every return teaches your mind that failure is not the end. Every return proves that you are committed to the direction, not addicted to appearing flawless. You must also learn to distinguish rest from avoidance. Rest restores your strength so you can return to the mission. Avoidance distracts you so you do not have to face the mission. Rest is intentional. Avoidance is unconscious. After true rest, you feel clearer. After avoidance, you often feel heavier. The body needs recovery. The mind needs silence. The nervous system needs stillness. Discipline is not endless punishment. It is intelligent balance. A bow kept under maximum tension will eventually break. But a bow never placed under tension will never send an arrow anywhere. Know when to apply pressure and when to release it. This knowledge comes from listening honestly to yourself, not from obeying every desire. Sometimes the body says, "Why need rest?" Sometimes the habit says, "Why want escape?" Learn the difference. One speaks quietly and specifically. The other produces endless excuses. The inner battle is won not by becoming harsh toward yourself, but by becoming truthful with yourself. Self-deception is one of the strongest chains. You say you have no time, but you spend hours distracted. You say you are waiting for motivation, but you are actually avoiding discomfort. You say the goal is impossible, but you have not given it consistent effort. You say you do not care what others think, yet your decisions are built around their approval. You say you want change, but you continue protecting the habits that prevent it. Truth may hurt your feelings, but deception will destroy your potential. Sit quietly and ask yourself, where am I lying to myself? Do not answer quickly. Listen. Where do your words and actions disagree? Where do you repeatedly blame others for a pattern you continue choosing? Where do you demand loyalty from others while betraying your own values? Where do you expect confidence without practice, results without patience, peace without boundaries, or strength without discomfort? This question may reveal things you do not want to see. But what is revealed can be transformed. What remains hidden continues controlling you. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. Responsibility is the next step. Responsibility does not mean everything that happened to you was your fault. Some wounds were created by others. Some situations were unfair. Some losses could not be prevented. But healing becomes your responsibility. Your future becomes your responsibility. Your response becomes your responsibility. You may not have chosen the burden, but you must choose whether it becomes your grave or your training ground. Do not build your identity around what wounded you. A scar is evidence that the wound closed. You are not only the person who suffered. You are also the person who survived, learned, adapted, and continued. But survival is not the final stage. There comes a time when you must stop living only in defense. You must stop allowing an old pain to decide every new relationship, every new opportunity, and every new risk. The past may explain you, but it does not have the right to command you forever. You cannot change what happened. But each day, you decide what meaning it will have. Will the betrayal teach you never to trust, or teach you to trust with wisdom? Will the failure teach you that you are incapable, or teach you how to prepare? Will the rejection teach you that you are worthless, or teach you that your path cannot depend on universal approval? The event is fixed. The meaning remains in your hands. This is part of the fight. The old you uses the past as evidence for limitation. The emerging you uses the past as material for understanding. You must decide which interpretation you practice. Be careful with the words, "Well, I am." Every time you say, "I am lazy, I am unlucky, I am weak, I am weak, I am weak, I am not disciplined," you turn a temporary pattern into a permanent identity. Speak more accurately. Say, "Well, I have practiced laziness, but I can practice action. I have made undisciplined choices, but I can make a disciplined choice now. Feel fear, but I am not fear. I experience failure, but I am not failure." Identity must not become an excuse. You are not required to remain loyal to a version of yourself that was built during confusion. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to outgrow old environments. You are allowed to choose different habits. You are allowed to become unrecognizable to the people who expected you to remain the same. But transformation carries a price. You will lose familiarity. You will lose certain comforts. You may lose relationships built around your lack of boundaries. You will lose the ability to hide behind the same excuses. You will lose the old story that made your inaction understandable. This is why many people say they want change, but resist the cost of changing. They want a new life while preserving the identity that created the old one. This cannot happen. The snake cannot keep the old skin and continue growing. You must release something. Perhaps it is resentment. Perhaps it is pride. Perhaps it is the addiction to being understood. Perhaps it is the habit of quitting when progress becomes slow. Perhaps it is the need for immediate reward. Perhaps it is the belief that your past decisions must determine your future direction. Let it go, not because it was meaningless, but because it has completed its lesson. A closed fist cannot receive anything new. Open your hand. There is also an important difference between desire and commitment. Desire says, why want this when it feels exciting? Commitment says, I choose this even when excitement is disappeared. Desire depends on mood. Commitment creates structure. Desire imagines the result. Commitment respects the process. Many people fall in love with the vision but resist the repetition. They want the strong body but not the daily training. They want the successful work but not the years of obscurity. They want wisdom but not the silence required to see themselves clearly. The result is the visible part of a tree. The process is the root system. Without roots, the first storm will take everything. Build roots. Create routines that do not depend on inspiration. Prepare your environment so the right action becomes easier. Remove what repeatedly weakens your attention. Begin before your mind creates a debate. Make the first step small enough that resistance has less power. Then repeat it. Do not underestimate simple actions performed before full presence. 1 hour of focused work is stronger than 5 hours of divided attention. 10 conscious repetitions are stronger than 100 careless movements. 1 honest promise kept is stronger than 10 ambitious promises abandoned. Do less, but do it completely. When you eat, eat. When you train, train. When you work, work. When you rest, rest. The undisciplined mind is always somewhere else. During work, it dreams of rest. During conversation, it checks a screen. During silence, it searches for noise. Presence is a form of power because your energy is no longer divided. The person who can direct attention can direct life. Your attention is the blade. Discipline sharpens it. Presence decides where it strikes. But remember, the purpose of a blade is not always to attack. Sometimes it cuts illusion. Sometimes it separates what is necessary from what is unnecessary. Sometimes it removes the habits, attachments, and beliefs that prevent clear movement. Ask yourself each day, what is unnecessary? Perhaps the unnecessary thing is the argument you keep replaying. Perhaps it is the need to impress people who are not living your life. Perhaps it is a goal chosen only because society celebrates it. Perhaps it is the constant search for a shortcut. Perhaps it is the expectation that growth should always feel good. Remove the unnecessary, and the essential becomes visible. Your purpose does not always arrive as a dramatic revelation. Often, purpose is discovered through responsibility. It appears when you pay attention to what you are willing to suffer for, what problem you feel called to solve, what skill you are willing to practice even when progress is slow. Do not wait for a perfect purpose before becoming disciplined. Discipline prepares you to recognize and carry purpose. A weak vessel cannot hold a powerful responsibility. Strengthen the vessel. Train the body so discomfort does not immediately control you. Train the mind so thoughts do not immediately command you. Train the emotions so they can be felt without becoming destructive. Train the character so opportunity does not corrupt you. Train the spirit so success does not make you forget what matters. This training is not glamorous. Much of it is repetitive, quiet, and invisible. No audience, no applause, no dramatic music. Only you and the decision. Will you rise? Will you return? Will you continue? Will you continue? Will you tell the truth? Will you do what you said you would do? These moments create destiny. Not the moments when everyone is watching. The moments when quitting would be easy and no one would know. You would know. Each time you betray your own promise, self-trust weakens. Each time you keep it, self-trust grows. This is why discipline creates confidence. Confidence is not merely positive thinking. It is the memory of your own reliability. You trust yourself because you have seen yourself act. You trust yourself because you continued under pressure. You trust yourself because your values remained when your emotions changed. Build this trust slowly. Do not promise yourself 10 impossible things tomorrow. Choose one clear commitment today. Complete it. Then choose again. Brick by brick, you rebuild the relationship with yourself. Eventually, the inner voice changes. It no longer says, "You always quit." It begins to say, "We have faced difficulty before. We know how to continue." This is not arrogance, it is earned stability. There will still be uncertainty. There will still be uncertainty. There will still be loss. There will still be moments when life does not follow your plan. Inner victory does not mean controlling the world. It means the world can no longer easily control the center of you. The storm may shake the branches, but the roots remain. The waves may strike the boat, but the person holding the direction does not abandon the wheel. You become less reactive, less desperate, less dependent on immediate outcomes. You stop demanding proof before giving effort. You stop demanding applause before continuing. You stop demanding certainty before moving. You learn to place your attention on what is within your influence, your effort, your preparation, your attitude, your boundaries, your next action. Everything else may matter, but it does not belong entirely to you. Peace begins when you stop trying to control what was never yours to control. You cannot control who understands you. You cannot control who understands you. You cannot control how quickly results arrive. You cannot control the past. You cannot control every opinion, every delay, every loss, or every unexpected change. But you can control whether these things turn you against yourself. Do not become your own enemy because life became difficult. Stand beside yourself. Correct yourself, but do not humiliate yourself. Challenge yourself, but do not hate yourself. Discipline yourself, but do not destroy yourself. The strongest inner relationship is not built through constant comfort. It is built through honest guidance. Speak to yourself as a wise teacher would speak to a student with great potential. Firmly, patiently, and without deception. When you fail, say, "This must be corrected." When you are afraid, say, "We will take the next step carefully." When you are tired, say, "We will recover, then continue." When you are distracted, say, "Return." Always return. Return to the breath when the mind becomes chaotic. Return to the body when thoughts pull you into imagined disasters. Return to your values when emotions demand a reaction. Return to the next small action when the entire path feels overwhelming. You do not need to carry the whole mountain. You need to take the next step. One step taken with awareness is greater than 1,000 steps imagined. Stop living only in preparation. There is a time to think, but there is also a time to move. Thinking can become another hiding place. Planning can become another form of fear. Learning can become a way to avoid testing what you know. At some point, you must enter the arena. You must publish the work. Begin the training. Make the call. Speak the truth. Set the boundary. Apply for the opportunity. Leave the environment that is destroying you. Start while still uncertain. The path will teach what preparation cannot. You will make mistakes. Let them instruct you. You will feel embarrassed. Let it humble you. You will discover weaknesses. Let them guide your training. You will encounter resistance. Let it strengthen your commitment. The person you wish to become is not waiting at the end of a comfortable road. That person is being constructed by the way you meet resistance now. Every difficulty asks a question. Will you return to the old pattern, or will you respond differently? This is the real fight. Not you against the world. Not you against your competitors. Not you against those who doubted you. You against the version of yourself that doubts you before others have the chance. You against the version that chooses immediate pleasure over long-term freedom. You against the version that confuses emotions with instructions. You against the version that demands change but refuses repetition. You against the version that wants to be saved instead of becoming responsible. Win this fight, and external victories become possible. Win this fight, and failure loses its power to define you. Win this fight, and rejection becomes redirection rather than destruction. Win this fight, and solitude becomes training rather than loneliness. Win this fight, and discipline becomes freedom rather than punishment. Win this fight, and success no longer depends entirely on luck, approval, or perfect circumstances. But understand, this victory is not achieved once. The old self does not disappear forever after one powerful decision. It returns in different forms, sometimes as laziness, sometimes as pride, sometimes as pride, sometimes as pride, sometimes as impatience, sometimes as the desire to prove yourself, sometimes as the belief that you have already mastered enough. The battle continues, but you become more skillful. You recognize the voice sooner. You recover more quickly. You stop being surprised by resistance. You understand that growth is not a destination where struggle ends. Growth is the development of a better relationship with struggle. The beginner asks, when will this become easy? The disciplined person asks, how can I meet this well? Do not pray only for fewer challenges. Develop greater capacity. Do not ask only for the road to clear. Develop the eyes to see through uncertainty. Do not seek a life without pressure. Become someone who can transform pressure into focus. A diamond does not argue with the pressure. It becomes something the pressure cannot destroy. Your struggle can refine you, but only when met with awareness. Pain alone does not produce wisdom. Reflected pain can produce wisdom. Failure alone does not create growth. Examined failure can create growth. After each difficulty, ask, what did this reveal? What pattern appeared? What must I practice before the next test? Before the next test. Then train. Do not merely regret the reaction. Prepare a better response. Do not merely apologize for the same behavior. Build a system that interrupts it. Do not merely wish for more focus. Remove the source of distraction. Do not merely say you want peace. Stop repeatedly entering unnecessary conflict. Your future is shaped not only by what you desire, but by what you are willing to remove, repeat, and endure. There is no need to rush. Rushing is often fear wearing the mask of ambition. Move with urgency but not panic. Be patient but not passive. Be calm but not weak. Be confident but remain teachable. Walk steadily. The mountain does not care how loudly you announce your intention. It responds only to the steps. Let your actions become quieter and your results become louder. You do not need to tell everyone that you are changing. Change. You do not need to announce that you are becoming disciplined. Practice discipline. You do not need to prove that you are strong. Remain steady when life tests you. Real strength does not require constant display. The deepest water often appears still. The tree with the strongest roots does not argue with the wind. Rooted in values that do not change with public opinion. Rooted in routines that continue after motivation fades. Rooted in self-awareness that notices weakness without surrendering to it. Rooted in humility that allows correction. Rooted in purpose that gives suffering a direction. Then, when life pushes you, you may bend, but you will not easily break. One day, you will look back and realize that the greatest change was not the money, the position, the body, the recognition, or the external achievement. The greatest change was that you became someone you could trust. You became someone who could sit in silence without needing escape. Someone who could feel fear without abandoning the path. Someone who could experience failure without becoming failure. Someone who could receive success without becoming arrogant. Someone who could be alone without feeling empty. Someone who no longer needed constant validation to continue. That is freedom. And freedom begins the moment you stop asking the weaker version of yourself for permission to grow. Do not wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow is often where the undisciplined mind stores every responsibility it does not want to face today. Begin now. Not with everything. With one action. Stand up. Put the distraction away. Complete the task you have been avoiding. Take the walk. Open the book. Write the first page. Make the difficult decision. Sit in silence for 10 minutes. Apologize without defending yourself. Say no where you have been betraying your values. Say yes where fear has been controlling you. One action. Then another. Each action sends a message into your mind. The old pattern no longer rules here. Continue until it becomes your nature. You do not rise to the level of your wishes. You return to the level of your training. Train well. Train when you feel inspired. Train when you feel ordinary. Train when no one believes in you. Train when progress is invisible. Train when the weaker voice says, "Ooh, just this once." Because "ooh, just this once" repeated often enough becomes a life. And one disciplined choice repeated often enough also becomes a life. The direction is yours. No one can breathe for you. No one can breathe for you. No one can develop your character for you. No one can enter your mind and remove every excuse. Teachers can guide you. Friends can support you. Opportunities can appear. But at the decisive moment, you must choose. You must choose which voice receives your obedience. You must choose whether discomfort becomes a wall or a doorway. You must choose whether the path becomes a prison or a lesson. You must choose whether your attention belongs to your purpose or your distractions. You must choose whether your life will be guided by temporary feelings or lasting values. This choice is made every day, sometimes every hour, sometimes every minute. Do not be discouraged by this. It means power is always available. Even after years of wrong choices, the next choice remains yours. Even after failure, the next action remains yours. Even after losing direction, you can stop, breathe, and turn. The path does not reject the person who returns sincerely. Return. Return until returning becomes discipline. Practice until practice becomes character. Continue until the person who once doubted you no longer controls you. You versus you. This is the fight beneath every other fight. Win against distraction, and your work will deepen. Win against fear, and your world will expand. Win against impatience, and your skills will mature. Win against pride, and your wisdom will grow. Win against excuses, and your potential will become visible. Win against the need for approval, and your decisions will become free. Win against the desire to quit, and time will become your ally. You do not need to conquer the entire world. Conquer the morning. Conquer the next decision. Conquer the impulse that repeatedly takes you away from your purpose. Conquer the lie that says you must remain who you have been. Then repeat. One day, the world may call you successful, but you will know the true victory happened much earlier. It happened in the private moment when comfort called your name and you continued. When fear spoke and you acted. When failure invited you to return to the old identity and you refused. That is the moment you won. Not because the battle ended, but because you finally understood who must do that. Because stand firmly. Breathe deeply. Look directly at the person you have been avoiding. Not your enemy outside. The one within. Do not hate that version of yourself. It was built from fear, habit, pain, and unconscious repetition. But do not allow it to remain in command. Thank it for what it survived. Learn from what it lacked. Then step beyond it. Your next life does not require a different world. It requires a different decision. Make it now.